So before we continue with the video, I want to talk to you guys about where I got this shirt from, and you probably guessed it, jerseyfifa.com. They have kindly sponsored today's video and also sent me a load of free shirts for me to check out myself, and I can now really vouch for the quality of these products. They have loads of shirts to offer on the website, so if you are interested, head to the link in the description down below and check out Jersey FIFA for yourself. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel and the Scouting for Manchester United series, where today we are looking at a player which we have spoken about before, and that is Andre of Fluminense. Now, I've done a video before looking at 3 potential Casemiro backups that Manchester United could sign, and Andre was one of the players that kind of got a positive reaction in the comment section, so I decided to give you guys a bit more of an in-depth breakdown of Andre, what he would bring to the team, a bit of his history, his stylistic play, a bit of everything. So, in terms of history, he's a player, 21 years old, who has been at Fluminense for a few years now, coming through the academy, the youth setup, playing for the under-17s before establishing himself as a first-team player, a first-team regular, and now really the heartbeat of his Fluminense team, which is quite impressive when you watch it. From a tactical point of view, they're very fluid, but Andre in midfield is a big part of that. And as a result, he has mounted now 115 appearances for the club at the time of recording, which is very impressive for a 21-year-old. To have that amount of experience in football, have those minutes under his belt, is a really good thing. And it's going to be attractive to any club that wants to sign him. Not just Manchester United, any team that might be looking at him. And, you know, this experience in the first team, as well as his minutes in the past, his performances have impressed so much that he has got a call up to the Brazil squad for what I believe is the first time. Will he play or not? We'll have to wait and see. I doubt it, but it's a big step in his career to get that call up to the Brazilian first team because, I mean, we know how good that Brazil team is. The squad is stacked with talent. It's some of the most ridiculous talent in the world is in that Brazil team. So it's a big moment for Andre. It's a chance for him to train with better players. No disrespect to his current teammates, but it's a chance to expose himself to what really is elite level football, because that is the kind of area where Brazil is. That is the level of football in Brazil. In the leagues, it's not great, but the first team, the Brazilian national team, really is top level. So it is a great opportunity for Andre to kind of express himself. So, you know, if he's good enough to be in the Brazil first team, there will be teams sniffing about. By now, the top scouts at all the clubs will be aware of this guy. And kind of the talks are that if a team wants him, he would cost about £20 million, 18 to £20 million in that area. So let's talk a bit about, you know, what Andre would bring to Manchester United in particular. Now, if he was to sign, I think it would be in Casemiro's spot where he would play, kind of as the deepest player. Now, currently for Fluminense, he plays on the left-hand side of a double pivot, often drops as their deepest midfielder, and really is the heartbeat of the team, the tempo setter. Everything goes through him. Anytime you look at any Fluminense passing networks, it's all going through Andre. He really is a high volume player, gets a lot of touches, and like I said, really is the heartbeat for that team and how they progress the ball. So in terms of, you know, he is the heartbeat for his team, he has a high amount of the ball. The question is, what does he do with the ball? Well, we'll start by looking at his passing FBref report, where we can see that the first thing he does, right at the top there, is he kind of keeps the ball for his side, ranking in the 99th percentile for passes completed. Now, we do have to remember that this isn't compared to Europe's top 5 leagues, because of course Brazil aren't in that bracket in their league. However, the numbers are still very impressive in themselves, but you do just kind of have to take it with a pinch of salt, because he isn't playing against the best players in the world. However, these pass percentages are still absolutely phenomenal in terms of progressive passing distance, but also the pass completion for short, medium and long range passes. This guy just completes all his passes and he's very, very good. In terms of the way that he kind of plays, if we go back to a tactical board, he's a player who wants to play pass and move football. Like I said already, the Fluminense system is very fluid. It's not a particularly rigid system which demands players in one position. They do like to move about, and Andre is a big part of that. So he will get the ball, pass it to someone else, and then he'll move into a different position. Get the ball, pass out here, and then move into a different position. And what he's always trying to do is kind of move away from defenders, move into little gaps of space, and constantly make himself a passing option. And I think that is something that Manchester United really need. A player who kind of goes around in his midfield and demands the ball. What I call a high volume player. Someone who gets a lot of touches on the ball. And Andre is that because, like I've said, he's always moving into different positions, trying to get into different pockets of space, making different angles for the player on the ball. So he is always an option. Having got the ball in terms of his passing, Andre can do a little bit of everything. We've seen already that his pass completion is very high for short, medium and long range passing, which could be very important. I think in Manchester United's current system, the ability to drop deep, get the ball and then fire a long pass out to someone like Antony could be very useful, but also that ability to play in between the lines to someone like Bruno Fernandes. And that is what I like about Andre. It's not just safe passing. Yes, his passing kind of completion numbers are very high, but that doesn't mean he's just safe on the ball. He is very progressive. He does move the ball through the lines very well, very vertical with a lot of his passes, and also in the final third as well. He will offer you that bit of creativity, that bit of flair, that ability to play the ball through the eye of a needle into the opposition's box on the shoulder of the defence. He's very good in these areas. So he's not just a safe player. Yes, he's going to set the tempo for your team and really control the game basically, but also he's very progressive. He gets the ball moving forward through the lines and is also creative in the final third. In terms of his passing, he does have a bit of everything. Ultimately, again, I think this is what Manchester United needs. Someone who demands the ball. Andre could be very good at doing that. Now, kind of what I should say to give context to this whole video, I'm not saying he should replace Casemiro, let's just make that clear. As a backup to Casemiro, though, I think he's a good option. Someone who could come into the team when Casemiro is suspended, which is happening quite a lot at the moment, or, you know, rotation in the cups. Seeing Andre come into the team would be really nice to see. Something else that Manchester United need, though, as well as this high-volume player, someone who gets a lot of touches, is someone who is comfortable under pressure. And by under pressure, I don't just mean the environment, yes, that's important, but also tactically on the pitch. Can he deal with being put under pressure? Now, again, we have to take this with a pinch of salt, because when you play in Brazil, the quality of pressure, the intensity of pressure, is not the same as Europe's big leagues, and especially the Premier League. Everyone says the Premier League is the most intense, you know, the press is the most physical. You don't get that in Brazil. Brazilian football is not the same. So Andre would have a period of adaptation to all of this, because he would be going up a lot of levels to make the move. But I think he's capable of it. And what we have seen in Brazil, where, you know, we can only base it on what we've seen and what he's faced so far, he does look like a press-resistant player. A player who's able to drop the shoulder. I'm not saying quite as naturally as someone like Frenkie de Jong or Benacer or someone like that. Not quite as naturally. However, still very confident taking the ball in pressurised situations, turning away. And what I also like, though, is that sometimes he will then release a short pass, yes, to find a teammate. But also he likes to carry the ball forward. And I think that is something which United could use as well. Someone who can just drive forward with the ball. It just gets you up the pitch a lot easier. Passing, yes, is very good. But if a team is man marking you, it's quite difficult to play that passing game. If you have a player who can kind of take on his man and beat him, you're then breaking the opposition structure. So again, Andre is very good at that on the ball, carrying the ball forward, mazy little dribbling runs, and again that gets him into the final third, where again we see that creativity. He really does do a bit of everything on the ball, and that is why I think he could be, in the long term, a really good deep midfielder, a deep line playmaker if you like, a player which really dictates games, gets his team out of pressure, and then is that pivot point which constantly the ball goes through him. He is the player who kind of sets the tempo for the team. Andre really could grow into that role for any team in Europe in the next few years. What I also like in these areas as well is his intelligence. We see a lot of players that are technically good on the ball, but you know, if you don't have the brain to go with it, it's not all that good. What we can see Andre doing often though, to kind of break a press, is taking extra touches on the ball to make room for someone else. So let's say the ball will be here. What he can do, let's say he's getting pressed, he is happy to kind of take this player on, take him on, take him on, take him on, and then draw the next player in, kind of absorb the pressure and then lay it off to Fred. Whereas what we can kind of see at the moment with Manchester United is the player will be pressured here, he'll pass to Fred who is also pressured. What Andre does is takes a bit of responsibility, carrying the ball forward, drawing players in, which then frees up his teammate. That is what Andre is very good at. So again, it's an intelligence on the ball. Again, he's not a complete package. You know, very young, 21 years old, playing in Brazil, but he needs to move soon to European football to really test him out. But I just think, if coached right, there's a really good young player in here. And for £18 million, you know, that's very cheap in today's market. As crazy as that sounds, it's very cheap in today's market. He could be a really, really good backup player. And of course, whilst he's doing all this good work on the ball, he's also good defensively as well. In terms of outward possession, when his team is pressing high, he is not the player to go engage super high up the pitch. He likes to kind of sit behind his midfielders, let them do the pressing. However, you know, if that first phase of press is broke and it goes into the opposition's attacking midfielder, for example, Andre will be there applying the pressure. So he's not a man who's going to make a lot of tackles in the final third, nice and high in these areas. However, he will just sweep up behind his midfield, allow the rest of his team to go press, and kind of sweep up in these areas, win the ball back, and again, he's very good. He's also good on the edge of his box as well, which is something that we do see from Manchester United at the moment occasionally, where they're kind of lined up on the edge of their own box, absorbing pressure a little bit. Andre is good in these areas as well, reading the play. He likes to put his body on the line, get blocks on shots, also interceptions, cutting out passing lanes, putting a tackle in, just really an all-action player that does a little bit of everything. Now, if you actually go and watch him play, from a defensive point of view, you might notice that he's a little bit small, which means You know, the most physical, athletic players can overwhelm him a little bit in these areas. However, he's pretty quick himself. So he may not be the biggest and the strongest, but he is quite nippy. And a lot of the time, that allows him to get out into these situations. Particularly if a player is kind of shooting on the edge of the box here. Casemiro, as good as he is at reading the play, he isn't the quickest to actually get across just because physically he isn't the quickest player. Andre does have that bit of acceleration in his game, which allows him to get into these situations. And again, that allows him to apply pressure on the edge of the box. So in general, I think you can see, he looks like a really good young player. I can't sit here and do a 15-20 minute video on him because, again, no disrespect to the Brazilian league, but when you're playing in Brazil, the level is different. You know, anyone would admit it's a massive step up when you move to the Premier League. However, I think there is a lot to like about Andre. In terms of assessing him, it's quite difficult to do because, again, we just haven't seen him against those top level players. But that also shouldn't be used as a criticism against him because those players that we have seen him against, you know, he's done well. You can only beat what is in front of you at the end of the day. And Andre so far has done that very well in his career. Moving forward, he needs a move to Europe basically to really test himself. Is Manchester United the right move right now? I'm not sure. It almost feels like he needs a bit of a stepping stone club in between. However, the problem with that is, let's say he goes to, for example, Brighton as a stepping stone club, where, you know, he's going to go there, develop for a couple of years, and then move to a top side. The problem with that is he's going to cost 60 million. Let's look at Caicedo, for example. Manchester United could have had him for about, 4 million, decided he weren't good enough at the time, but then he goes to the stepping stone club in Brighton, does very well, looks really good there, and he's going to get a big money move at some point. Andre, I think, might take a similar path, where he's going to go to a slightly lesser side in Europe somewhere, someone who's very good at developing talent, and then get his big move, and then people will say, wow, we should have gone for him years ago. I think that's how it might play out, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see, though. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are there any other players in these Brazilian leagues, or in South America in general, which you would like me to check out, because I'm happy to do so? What do you think of Andre? Have you watched him? If not, let me know what you think. Do you think the fact that he's Brazilian could make him a good understudy for Casemiro in terms of communication, almost Casemiro mentoring him a little bit? All of that, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you have enjoyed the video, and as always, I will see you in the next one.